Can anybody keep their word? I don't know. I post things on Facebook Marketplace. I usually put it on there pretty cheap. Unless I'm selling something real nice, and I put what I think market value is. But I got an old set of wheels out there. I took off my minivan and changed them out, and they're just old wheels, chrome plated wheels that are kind of pain in the butt. You got to go through hell just to keep air in the tires, but three of the tires were good still. I said, set of four wheels, tires, three good tires, $40, cheap enough. The guy can strip the wheels and, still have three good tires. I get all kinds of responses, and yeah, I'll be over, at this time, and nobody shows up. And then another guy, kind of the same thing, and another guy, oh yeah, I'm going to be coming through there before noon. Okay, message me when you're close so I can make sure I'm home. And you're kind of waiting around because people are saying they're going to do something, and nothing. The guy I never heard a word. The next day. So I just I don't know what happened. With people just simply keeping their word. It isn't that difficult. Why say something you're going to do something and not do it? This has been happening all my life. It seems like it's getting worse than it used to be. I think when I was younger, people were kept their word a lot more. I know when I was in the military, it was it seemed like people kept their word there. Which when I think back about the military, I think that is probably the people I knew then were probably the more real friends I've had in my life. And I still have a couple of them. I stay in touch with them. They live far away, but we stay in touch a little bit. But it just, I don't even want to know people anymore. That doesn't even sound healthy. It's like people just tell you what you want to hear for immediate results. And I'm talking about, on the job, you hear it all the time. Now, I'm fortunate. I just kind of retired, but I have to admit, where I worked, the owner was pretty straight with me. So I'm not, but I know, what happens. I hear it all the time. That a guy's told, hey, yeah, we'll do this. Hey, we'll do that. If you do this, we'll do this, and nothing ever materializes. In fact, where I work, that happened several years ago, but has since been taken over by one of the other sons, and he's not really that way, but one of the other ones was. And then I've had neighbors, that hey, I won't do that, or I won't do this, or hey, oh, that's okay, if that happens, and then it happens, and then it's a big problem, Well, you said it was all right. Oh, now it isn't. I don't know. Just be straight. Is it that hard? And then I guess the peak of lack of integrity would be car dealers. Oh my God. How do those guys sleep at night? I think it takes a special breed of just person, and I don't even like saying this, but it's almost like you got to be a natural born scumbag to be a car salesman, or even anybody in the car dealer, the sales manager, any of them. A year and a half ago, I bought a brand new car. Bought it for my wife, and brought it home. I said, hey, let's pull that thing in the shop, get a nice coat of wax on it. And I thought I looked it over pretty good, but it's brand new. You didn't think you had to look it over that good. Anyway, I'm waxing it, and I'm like, why is the hood not shiny? Like the whole car is shiny pretty good, and the hood's like dull. I feel up, under the hood, and I can feel overspray. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I work with a guy that does body work on the side. In fact, he's built custom cars. I think he's even had a car in a magazine at some point. He does real good work, and he's been doing it all his life. I call him up. I said, hey, I'm going to bring this car over. I want you to look at it. I bring it over there, and he's got the light in his shop that really shows everything. And he said the whole front clip of the car has been repainted. And he's starting to show me the differences. And they did a good job on the front fenders. The hood was noticeably bad, but the front fenders were decent. But he was showing me the difference between factory paint and the repaint. And then I started seeing it. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, my stomach, it just dropped. I mean, I felt like I couldn't even breathe. I was kind of mad at myself for buying it, and not noticing anything, because I am a car guy and I let it slide right on by me. I drove it and came back and said, hell yeah, I'll buy it. And out in the sunlight, it didn't look bad. But in those lights in his shop, he showed me, and I'm like, oh my God. Now, for 3 or 4 days, I'm wondering, what the hell do I do? So I called a dealer. I said, hey, this car's had damage. Oh, no, it's just, they do crappy paint jobs. All right, so now I start investigating. And this is where they kind of screw themselves. I pay for a Carfax on it. Now, a new car shouldn't have a Carfax, but this one does. And it shows being serviced at a Chevy dealer. Well, it's a Dodge. What the hell is it being serviced at a Chevy dealer for? Well, my little brain is thinking, that's where there's a body shop. And then I go to the app that I got with the car. And lo and behold, service, body sublet. Oh, wow. Same date as it was at the Chevy dealer. It was there for a couple of weeks. So I call up the Chevy dealer. I'm like, hey, you remember this car, VIN number, blah, 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 whatever, And, oh, yeah. I said, what did you guys do to it? Well, hold on a minute. I said, well, I own the car, so, you should be able to tell me. And they get back on the phone. No, we can't tell you. You'll have to contact the dealer you bought it from. They can tell you. I said, okay, so basically it's had body work done. And they wouldn't say anything. I said, okay, bye. And so now I call them back. I said, hey, Carfax shows it at a body shop. Get Car app shows it, and they're like, how could it have a Carfax? I said, well, I don't know. I paid for one with that VIN number and it's got one. So anyway, now they're like, well, hey, you know what? Drive it down here. We'll take a look at it. We'll repaint that hood for you. And we'll pay for the gas, And I'm like, yeah, well, the car has a diminished value now. It's had body work done. And typically, it's 10%. And the salesman even admits that. Because I said, oh, now the car is admitted. Oh, yeah, about 10%. But doesn't offer to take 10% off the car. He just said, well, when you go to sell it, you probably get about 10% less. Like, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah. As much as cars cost nowadays, yeah, no problem. I'll eat it, since you guys, slipped a car that's had the whole front clip repainted. Okay. So I call a guy at another dealership. Out of the blue, didn't know him from Adam. And I said, hey, what would you do in a case like this? This guy blew up. He goes, I can't stand dealers who do that stuff. He goes on and on. Anyway, he says, you take that car back. You contact the district attorney in their county, tell them you're going to show up with the news stations. So I'm like, okay. And I did contact the district attorney in the county that the dealership was in. And the guy was like, oh, yeah. Here, I'm going to send you forms. They've been in trouble before. Not to mention that a girl that worked at the dealership I called said she used to work there, and said she knew of a car that color getting creamed in the parking lot. They ran into something, and pretty much the whole front clip had to be redone. I'm like, wow, oh, okay, now we're on to something. So I got the district attorney, and I said, I just don't want the car anymore. I don't want any part of this. I'll never feel good about this car. In 5 years, the paint's going to fade differently. I'm going to have a expensive car that the front clip is a different color than the back because factory paint's baked on. It's not going to be the same. So I get my son, and I said, meet me at that dealership. And he did. 4:00 in the afternoon. I walk in there. I said, hey, we're going to rewind this deal. And the sales manager's, well, we don't do that. I'm like, no, you're going to do this. I said, or I am going to fill out this paperwork that the district attorney sent me. And I'm going to come here Monday and have channel 4, 5, and 9 news. And we're going to interview you in front of them on TV. And her eyes got about as big around as silver dollars. Well, hold on a minute. We can't afford another lawsuit. I'm like, oh wow. Now we're getting to the bottom of everything. Now, I traded a car in. Keep this in mind. That was a low-mile car. Anyway, she goes, and she comes back. She goes, okay, let's go around back and do the paperwork. And she gets all the paperwork, notarized, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, okay, we got your car, but there's a bill, because they went through your car and said they'd had to do brakes and a 4-wheel alignment, $1,600. And I looked at her, I said, hey, that car had 40,000 miles on it, number one. Number two, I'm not leaving here $1 poorer than I walked in. You guys screwed me. I didn't screw you. She goes, oh, no, I just want you to know that we did that. We're not charging you. Here's your receipt that shows that it was done. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they were going to try, but, Anyway. So, get the paperwork. I get the car. I trade it in back. And it was all over. And but that whole week, I couldn't sleep. I was almost physically ill from the experience. Because cars are expensive as hell nowadays. And that's like somebody ripping you off for $40,000, $50,000. It's not a good feeling. All because they can't be straight up, can't have integrity and do the right thing. Hey, you know what? The car got damaged. Sell it as a car that's been damaged and repaired. You take the 10% off, be upfront about it, put it on the lot, and sell it that way, And then this way, somebody, hey, I'll get a 10% discount, because it had this damage and it's been redone. That's okay, or whatever, discount it. But to try to slip it by as a car that's never had anything done. What the hell is going on around here? Anyway, so car dealers, probably the people with the least integrity. That happened about 1.5 years ago. Another thing I see is, and I see this a lot, somebody wants to tell you something, and instead of telling you, they tell somebody they know will tell you, that one always gets me. I actually think it's funny because, you know what, I'm a little guilty of that myself. I know who the big mouths are, and it's like, blah, 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 and it'll get over there, don't worry about it. So, yeah. But the thing is when you get so much of this lack of integrity, and it seems almost like it's normal, that you start looking at everybody like they're full of crap. And not everybody is. I think most people are, but there's people, and now, like when I'm a little questionable about somebody, and I've gotten to where I question just about everybody, and it's insulting to a person that is straight up. It sucks to have it so ingrained that you just don't trust anything that comes out of anybody's mouth. You don't believe anything, and it's bad. So, I mean, I don't know any other way to handle it. I try to handle it by being 100% straight up, and not bullshit about anything at all. And that has led me to having basically zero friends. I mean, I guess I have one or two, far away that, as we've moved around, I usually get like one friend wherever we go, but it has led to where most people simply don't, want to talk to me or like me much because I'm completely honest with them. And a lot of people that hate that, and maybe, there's a way to be softer about it. I don't know. My father said something once when I was a kid. I don't know. I think I was 12 or 13 years old. And he said, if you got one friend, you're lucky. He goes, if you have two friends, you're damn lucky. And if you have three friends, you're lying. Now, that sounds extreme, but what he's talking about is friends you can count on no matter what. Even if you've done something bad that's embarrassing to everybody around you, that friend will stick with you. And I think that's fairly accurate in that sense, I think it's fairly accurate. And I'm probably the lucky guy. I have one friend. I mean, it's fairly accurate. I'll just leave it at that. The one good thing, I guess, that comes to being this way, maybe I don't have too many friends, but the ones I do attract are typically people that are straight up. So the rest of them, aren't. And I really don't want to be around them anyway. So I guess it all works out. In any case, I just was wondering what happened to integrity because I know it has slipped to the wayside over the last 40 years. Like I said, in the 80s, when I was in the Navy, it seemed like people kept their word a lot better than they do now. And it just seemed to slowly disappear as the decades went on. And now it's at a point where people don't think they can be successful without being full of crap, which that car dealer is a good example of it, Now, oh yeah, I'll never go back. And maybe the couple people I told the story to will never go there, but it's a big city where that's located. And most of the people that walk in there are walking in for the first time and they're going to buy a car anyway and get ripped off. And so, I mean, and that's all they care about, the bottom line, they don't care about repeat this or repeat that. They just go on and get whatever they can at the moment, which sucks. In any case, I'm going to keep trying to have integrity, and I know some other people that do. I know there's other people out there that do. I know other people that do, but it's getting more and more rare than it ever has been. Anyway, anybody's got any comments on this? Comment, like, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. I'm trying to get this channel going. Anyway, thanks for listening.